I never meant to find the birth certificate. I was just doing what any good daughter-in-law would do, helping clear out Grandma Rose's house after her passing 3 weeks ago. The attic was the last frontier, a dusty time capsule of family history that needed sorting before the estate sale. That's when I found the metal box, tucked behind a stack of old Life magazines from the 1960s. It was locked, but the key was taped to the bottom. Classic Grandma Rose, always practical even in her secrets. Inside, beneath a stack of love letters and faded photographs, was a birth certificate from 1985. The name caught my eye immediately, Rebecca Ann Mitchell. But that wasn't what made my hands shake. It was the physical description that followed: red hair, green eyes, distinctive birthmark on the right shoulder, exactly like my sister-in-law Claire. Except Claire was supposed to be Claire Elizabeth Watson, born in 1988. Find anything interesting up there? Claire's voice floated up from the bottom of the attic stairs, making me jump. The birth certificate slipped from my trembling fingers. Just some old magazines, I called back, quickly stuffing the document into my jacket pocket. Nothing important. But it was important. Over the past 3 years, since Claire had appeared in our lives claiming to be my husband Mark's long-lost sister, something had felt off. The way she avoided talking about her childhood, her convenient explanation about adoption records being sealed, how she'd shown up right after Grandma Rose had won that massive lottery. Sarah? Claire was climbing the stairs now. Mark's wondering if you're ready to go. We need to meet the estate lawyer at 3. I gathered some magazines as cover, trying to keep my voice steady. Coming. Just got caught up in these old articles. Claire reached the top of the stairs, her red hair catching the dusty sunlight streaming through the attic window. She was wearing an expensive new dress, another purchase from her mysterious consulting job that never seemed to require actual work. You know, she said, picking up a photograph from the floor, I always wondered why Grandma Rose spent so much time up here in her final months. Said she was organizing family history. Claire's green eyes met mine. Find anything historical. Something in her tone made the hair on my neck stand up. Nothing special, I lied, feeling the birth certificate burned in my pocket, ready to go. The drive to the lawyer's office was tense. Claire insisted on taking her new Mercedes, leaving my car at the house. As she drove, I noticed her glancing at me in the rearview mirror more than usual. You're quiet today, she observed, her manicured fingers tapping the steering wheel. Everything okay? I nodded, my hand instinctively touching my pocket. Just thinking about Grandma Rose. It's strange how suddenly she declined after Christmas. Claire's fingers tightened on the wheel. The doctor said it was natural causes. Heart failure. Common at her age. True, but she was so healthy at Christmas dinner. Remember how she danced with Mark? And then 3 days later. Sometimes death comes quickly, Claire cut in. Besides, she left everything in order, even updated her will last month. Yes, I thought. Updated it to include you, her newfound granddaughter, as a major beneficiary just weeks before her death. We pulled into the lawyer's parking lot early. As Claire turned off the engine, I decided to take a risk. It's funny, I said casually. I was just reading about that family in Phoenix. The woman who pretended to be a long-lost relative to get into a wealthy family's will. They caught her because of an old birth certificate. Claire went very still. What are you implying? Nothing. Just an interesting story. The woman's real name was Rebecca Mitchell. Reminded me of someone. The change in Claire's face was instant. The polished mask slipped, revealing something hard and cold beneath. In one fluid motion, she hit the power locks and grabbed my wrist. Where is it? She hissed. What did you find in that attic? I tried to pull away, reaching for the door handle with my free hand. Let go of me. The birth certificate, she snarled. Give it to me now. I managed to get the door open, but as I tried to step out, Claire yanked me back and slammed the heavy car door on my hand. The pain was explosive, but through my scream, I heard something else. The sound of papers falling from my pocket onto the car floor. Claire snatched the birth certificate, her face twisted with rage. You stupid, nosy bitch. You had to keep digging, didn't you? Couldn't just accept things as they were. Through tears of pain, I saw something else fall from my pocket, a small envelope I hadn't noticed before, one that must have been stuck to the birth certificate. Claire saw it too, her face going pale as she recognized Grandma Rose's handwriting on the front. To be opened in the event of my death by suspicious circumstances, I read aloud, cradling my injured hand. Claire's expression shifted from rage to calculation. "Get out of the car," she ordered, reaching into her designer purse. Now, as I stumbled onto the pavement, I saw what she was pulling out. A small glass vial identical to the one found on Grandma Rose's nightstand the night she died. "You know," Claire said, her voice eerily calm, "heart failure runs in families, and stress can trigger it at any age." That's when I noticed Mark's car pulling into the parking lot, and I realized this was just the beginning of a family revelation that would shake us all to the core. Mark's arrival should have been a relief, but the look in Claire's eyes told me otherwise. She quickly slipped the vial back into her purse and plastered on a smile so convincing it chilled me to the bone. "Oh my God, Sarah," she called out, her voice dripping with fake concern. "I'm so sorry about the door. It was an accident. I didn't realize your hand was there." Mark rushed over, his doctor's instincts kicking in as he examined my swelling fingers. "This needs an X-ray," he said, shooting his sister a questioning look. "How did this happen?" Before I could speak, Claire was already spinning her story. "She was getting out while I was closing the door. Terrible timing. I feel awful." She held up her phone. "I'll reschedule with the lawyer." "No," I said too quickly, making both of them stare at me. "I mean, Mark, there's something you need to see first." Claire's hand tightened around her purse. "Sarah's just upset about the injury. We should really get her to the hospital." But I was already pulling the envelope from my pocket with my good hand. "Your grandmother left this. It's important." "That's private family business," Claire snapped, reaching for the envelope. But Mark was faster. "To be opened in the event of my death by suspicious circumstances," he read slowly, his face darkening. "What is this?" "Ask your sister," I said, watching Claire's composed facade crack slightly. "Ask her about Rebecca Mitchell." "Who?" Mark looked between us, confusion evident on his face. Claire laughed, but it was brittle. "She's delirious from the pain. We should really show him the birth certificate." I interrupted. "The one you just took from me." Mark turned to Claire, his hand extended. After a long moment, she pulled out the wrinkled document and handed it over. I watched my husband's face as he read, saw the moment understanding begin to dawn. "This says, but this can't be." "It's fake," Claire said quickly. "Obviously planted to cause trouble. Sarah's always been jealous of our relationship." "The birthmark matches," I pointed out. "Same red hair, green eyes. Same age as Rebecca Mitchell, who disappeared from Phoenix 3 years ago, right before Claire showed up here." Mark's doctor hands were steady as he held the birth certificate, but his voice shook. "Claire?" She must have seen something change in his expression because her strategy suddenly shifted. "Okay, fine. Yes, I used a different name. I had to, my past was complicated. But I'm still your sister." "Are you?" I asked quietly. "Or did you research Mark's family, learn about his adopted sister who died as a baby, and create the perfect story?" "That's ridiculous." But her eyes kept darting to her purse, to the vial hidden inside. "Is it?" I turned to Mark. "Did you know your grandmother changed her will 3 days before she died? Added Claire as a major beneficiary. Because she loved me." Claire's composure was cracking. "I was there for her in the end, unlike you two." "You were there, all right," I said, my injured hand throbbing with renewed purpose. "Just like you were there when she had her first heart episode right after she told you she wanted to hire a private investigator to find documentation of your adoption." Mark went very still. "What?" "Check her purse," I said softly. "Look for a vial like the one found by Grandma Rose's bed." What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Claire made a break for her car, but Mark caught her arm, sending her designer purse crashing to the pavement. Contents spilled everywhere. Makeup, keys, and a small glass vial that rolled to a stop at my feet. "It's not what you think," Claire said, but her voice had changed, the refined accent slipping into something harder, more desperate. "I think," Mark said, picking up the vial, "that this looks exactly like the heart medication Mom used to take, the one that's fatal in high doses." "You can't prove anything," Claire spat, and in that moment she was truly Rebecca Mitchell, cold, calculating, and cornered. "Actually," said a new voice, "we can." We all turned to see Detective Lisa Morrison stepping out of an unmarked car, followed by 2 uniformed officers. I sagged with relief. My text for help hadn't gone unnoticed. Rebecca Mitchell, the detective said, "We've been looking for you. Phoenix PD sends their regards." As the officers moved to handcuff her, Claire, Rebecca, made one last desperate play. "Mark, please. I may not be your biological sister, but these past 3 years, didn't they mean anything?" My husband's face was a mask of pain and fury. "Did Grandma Rose mean anything to you? When you gave her that fatal dose?" "You don't understand," she hissed, finally dropping all pretense. "That old woman was going to ruin everything. She found letters from my last mark in Phoenix, started asking questions. I couldn't let her destroy what I'd built here." "And what was that exactly?" Detective Morrison asked, holding up a tablet. "Because according to our records, you've pulled the same con in 3 other states, always targeting wealthy families with missing or deceased relatives, always ending in mysterious deaths. I watched the last traces of Claire vanish, replaced by the cold eyes of a predator who'd finally been caught. But as the officers led her away, she turned back one last time. "Check the will," she called out, smiling despite the handcuffs. "I still get everything. Dead women's wishes have to be honored after all." Mark stepped forward, holding up Grandma Rose's envelope. "Actually, let's see what other wishes she left behind." Inside was a single page, dated the day before her death. "My dearest Mark and Sarah, if you're reading this, my suspicions about Claire were correct. I've left proof of her true identity with my lawyer, along with a new will. Don't let my death be in vain. And Sarah, thank you for seeing what I saw. You were always the daughter I needed. Love, Grandma Rose." As police cars pulled away with our fake sister-in-law, I looked down at my throbbing hand, a small price to pay for uncovering the truth. Mark pulled me close, his doctor's fingers gently examining the injury. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "for not believing your instincts about her sooner." "You wanted a sister," I said softly. She knew exactly how to play that desire. The detective approached us, her notebook open. "We'll need formal statements, and there'll be an autopsy order for your grandmother's body. But with the evidence we've collected in her confession, well, let's just say Rebecca Mitchell won't be playing family with anyone else for a very long time." 6 months later, we stood in Grandma Rose's garden, now blooming with the spring flowers she planted in her final season. The case against Rebecca Mitchell had revealed a trail of devastated families across 4 states, each one drawn in by her elaborate impersonations of long-lost relatives. "The DA called this morning," Mark said, kneeling to pull a weed from around Grandma's favorite rosebush. "Rebecca took the plea deal, 25 to life, no possibility of parole for 15 years. My hand, finally healed but still bearing a slight scar, touched the smooth stone of the new memorial bench we'd installed. Grandma Rose would be pleased. She left us everything we needed to catch her killer. The investigation had uncovered the full scope of Rebecca's plan. She'd meticulously researched Mark's family, discovering records of his biological sister who died in infancy. Using that information, she'd crafted an identity that would appeal to both Mark's desire for family connection and Grandma Rose's generous heart. "Found something else in the attic yesterday," Mark said, pulling an envelope from his pocket. "Photos of my real sister, the one who died." Inside were faded hospital pictures of a tiny baby, gone too soon to even leave the NICU. Claire Elizabeth Watson, the real one, who would never grow up to have red hair or green eyes or a carefully crafted story. "She would have been loved," I said softly, watching my husband trace the image with gentle fingers. "Like you were loved by Grandma Rose," he replied. "She saw through Rebecca's act from the beginning, didn't she?" I nodded, remembering the subtle clues our sharp-minded grandmother had left. The strategically placed birth certificate, the hidden envelope, the careful documentation of her suspicions. The hardest part was watching Rebecca play the devoted granddaughter while knowing she was poisoning Grandma Rose, I admitted. But Grandma knew the truth would come out. She trusted us to find it. The garden felt peaceful now, cleansed of the darkness that had briefly invaded our family. The lawyer had found Grandma Rose's real final will, along with a detailed letter explaining her suspicions about Claire and her fears about what might happen. "You know what else the DA said?" Mark asked, standing to brush dirt from his knees. "Rebecca had a whole storage unit full of family research, files on wealthy families with missing relatives, adoption records, obituaries. She was planning her next con before she even finished this one." But she didn't count on Grandma Rose. I smiled, touching the roses that bloomed despite everything. Or her stubbornness about keeping family records in that attic. Mark took my scared hand, kissing the still tender spots where the car door had crushed it. Or her brilliant granddaughter-in-law who wasn't afraid to dig for the truth. As we walked back to the house, I thought about family, not the fake version Rebecca had tried to sell us, but the real, messy, wonderful truth of it. The love that made Grandma Rose leave us clues even as she faced her killer. The strength that helped us uncover the truth. The justice that finally gave us peace. What should we do with the real Claire's photos? Mark asked as we reached the porch. I squeezed his hand. Put them in a family album. She may not have lived long, but she was family. The real kind, the kind Rebecca could never understand. Because that was Grandma Rose's final lesson to us. Real family isn't about perfect stories or convenient appearances. It's about love that persists even after death, truth that emerges even from lies, and bonds that grow stronger through every trial. And sometimes it takes a slammed car door and a hidden birth certificate to remind us what family really means.